I have said before that I love human beings. Now, one thing I want to point out is that this doesn't mean that I like everything human beings do, or that I like every single human being that I come into contact with. It also doesn't mean that I haven't had my own share of conflict with other human beings in my life. Like many of us, I grew up in a family with a mother who was narcissistically wounded and who caused a lot of harm to herself, to others, and particularly to me. But the fact of the matter is that the core of my feeling in my heart is love for humanity. I also, of course, love Mother Earth, and I love all of my relations, as we say in a spirituality that is earth-inspired, earth-informed. The rock stone people, the tree plant people, all beings that walk, swim, crawl, fly, and creep. The waters, the sacred spaces of Mother Earth, the caves and the mountains, the plains and the fields. I love the incredible beauty and generosity of this planet that we live on. And so I want to just reflect on what it really means to love humanity, particularly in these times when we see so many that are succumbing to the trance of otherness, the trance of dissociation, into a belief that some are less worthy, or into a belief that it is okay to trample on the sovereignty of other people, of other nations. When we see so many trying to invoke and even enacting violence against others because of their race or their ethnicity, their religion, their spiritual views, because of their gender identity, because of their sexuality, because of their gender. So it is very hard right now, isn't it? It's really hard right now on a day-to-day level to love everyone. And it's something that I myself struggle with. I get angry and frustrated, and I have moments of fear. And yet I've been asked more recently by my students, with everything that is going on, and with the fear that all of us have in our hearts that we are moving or catapulting into some kind of major global catastrophe, that we are catapulting into a world where a very few will wish to dominate through violence and threats and force others, perhaps a whole nation or whole nations. Or when we are worried about the climate and are anticipating some kind of major climate disaster that is worldwide, or a pandemic that is even more brutalizing than COVID has been. And they've asked me, how do I maintain a sense of hope and peace? And this is always my response. So no matter what I feel on a day-to-day level or an hour-to-hour level, no matter the part of me that worries and frets and the part of me that gets scared, and yet I have had ever since I can remember this deep, enduring hope in my heart. A deep and enduring, not just hope, but vision that all of this will end. A deep and enduring vision that more and more of us will awaken our consciousness, will step into healing ourselves, healing our ancestors, healing our families, our communities, into peace, into love. I have always had a vision of this great wave, and even now, in the wake of what is happening in Ukraine, I still hold this powerful vision. There is no reason to give into the cataclysmic nightmares that I myself hold in my mind at times. I really trust and believe in the part of us as human beings who ultimately step up to help each other. I've seen it happen so many times in my life with minor climate emergencies. A nor'easter that I lived through when I lived in the Boston area as a child. A forest fire that burned across the mountains around my home, south of Charlottesville, Virginia. And the ways in which people banded together on August 12th, 2017, when those who wanted to build the fires of hatred against Jews and other non-white people on the planet, and how many people came together to heal this community. There is so much that can be done, so much work to do. We can do this work on pragmatic levels, working in our families, in institutions, in business, and so on. And there's so much we can also do spiritually. I know to some it may seem airy-fairy to believe that prayer and ceremony and energy healing can change the course of the future. But I have seen it. I have experienced it in myself, in my own life. And so it is imperative now for me to call that we become the sacred activists for peacemaking and ending violence, using all of the powerful energetic tools that are available to us to nourish and support healing in ourselves, to nourish and support peace in our own minds, to nourish and support the creation of a vibrational frequency of peace. Do not underestimate the power of this wave, the power of this great tidal wave of peace that we are creating with every breath we breathe, with every day that we live, and with every action we take, inner and outer. Eventually, yes, I believe this will end. War, violence. I believe it. I hope you will join me in believing it too, keeping that fire burning in your heart as it does in mine. May it be so.